I think it's working. I think that the ability to attract people to our board is a demonstration of the fact that there are people who are interested in the subject and want to be part of what the journal is, which is a mechanism for exchanging views and so on. I think it's also working in that in producing articles, thoughtful articles on how things ought to work, the journal is influencing people's minds. It's probably not influencing the mind of Congress in the States or the Commission in Europe. I don't think they read this journal and say, well, we've got to do it in a particular way. But I think that the people who are talking, debating issues in the Senate or wherever, or in the Commission, they are interacting with people who read the journal. And therefore the views reflected in the journal are indirectly influencing what is going on. But me too, you are a late arrival on the editorial board. You became aware of the journal at presumably some stage after its launch. What was your initial reaction to its arrival?
My world of academic publication is rather obscure, and I write about capital markets and spend years studying the same narrow question, and was quite desperate to have the ability to speak to people who worked in it on a regular basis. And so this was extremely attractive for that reason. Now, I was skeptical that anybody in the real world would be in the least bit interested in, say, my research on bond contracts from the 1800s. But I was pleasantly surprised. It has the potential, I thought, and that's why I wanted to be part of it, to give us who work in the academic field a way to talk to people who we otherwise don't have the opportunity to talk to.
And also to interact with people who are doing the transactions in the market, to get market information.
That's information for us.
Absolutely.
Well, and for the practitioner too, that history, that context is so relevant when you're otherwise got your head down looking at text, putting the text into context, thinking about where it came from at the same time as you're thinking about where it needs to go. And I remember, me too, we had discussions about how, as you explored issues about the meaning of, or the construction of terms, boilerplate terms, you might call them, that were frequently there in contracts, how often difficult it was to get any market memory about how they had got there. And yet it just seemed that, as I said, as we looked out to where we wanted to go, we had to have some sense of where we were coming from.
In fact, I remember many years ago now, you came to talk to me about what a pari passu clause was doing in a sovereign bond, and we didn't know then that Argentina would actually bring the case to a US court. But I don't think I'd thought about what that provision was doing in a sovereign bond before. I think that it just was there. And many practitioners do that. They just say, this is market practice. It's always been like that, and you don't question market practice often enough. And I think academics do bring that sort of fresh light of day onto that sort of issue and say, well, what does it do? They question where practitioners sometimes don't.